So if we talk about the first one then, quit defining leadership in the old way.
Well, I think leadership, of course, everything was kind of based on the military model for years, hundreds of years, the leaders sitting in the box watching everyone else, and there was no consensus, there was no ownership or buy-in, there was no asking them what they wanted, and it was kind of ordering people around. And then in the 90s, we kind of came into a little more consensus and teams. But I think we went a little overboard to the point that, leaders stopped making any decisions. If everyone didn't agree, then, and that's not healthy because not everyone's going to agree. And some decisions don't lend themselves to consensus because sometimes the leader knows a lot of pieces that the employees don't know all of. So good leaders, it's nice to have consensus sometimes, it's nice to have input, but sometimes a good leader has to be able to make a decision. But I think we've come another even further way that leadership is not just about the person being in charge. Leadership now is, if you're a mom or you're a volunteer, leadership is really the ability or the willingness to acknowledge that you influence, that we all influence someone. So I can be a crossing guard, I can be a stay-at-home mom, I can be all sorts of jobs, but I'm still influencing other people. So I could be the bottom line person of a company, the front line employee, no one reports to me, everyone's above me, and yet still the way I act, the way I talk, the way I dress, the way I handle problems, there's still people that are being affected by that. So the new way of defining leadership is it's not just a corner office, it's not just a title, it's not just about, whether people are reporting to you. It is your responsibility to be accountable and to acknowledge that your attitudes, your perceptions, and your beliefs have an impact upon other people's thoughts and behaviors.
In Sweden, a lot of the metaphors come around from fish. We were a big fishing nation.
Okay.
And they always, one of the things that I always quote to people is that the fish rots from the head.
Yes.
That's an old Swedish saying.
Right, and that's true. That leaders they set the tone. It's I always like to do the opening keynote. I like to be what I call the leading keynote, and the reason why is I said because all of your audience are coming in, and they're coming in, and some of them are frustrated and tired and exhausted, and they're coming in with all of these mindsets. And as a leader, as a leading keynote, I want to set a tone. I want to get them to laugh. I want them to be more accountable. I want them to be less resistant. I want them to think of some new mindsets and some new attitudes, and then let me hand them back to you. And then all the products that you want to acknowledge or open up to them, all the new ideas you have, all the different changes, they will then be more open to accepting that. And that's what I think leaders do. Leaders are the ones that should set the tone. And they should set the tone for how do we act, how do we treat other people, how do we listen, how do we handle stress, how do we handle things that don't go our way. And then we set those standards for our company, and then we expect people to either meet those standards or not work for our company.